FasterHouse?
I'm not certain if it was a mailer that I got, if you do that, I'm not sure, cause I saved them. About 2 years ago, I knew that I was gonna be in the market for selling this house. I was having to wait for the right moment, cause I had a good renter in there and I didn't wanna sell it out from under him. And I started collecting those cards, and I just put them in a stack, and whenever the time came, which was, about the first week of January, I got notice that both sides are gonna be vacant by February 1, something like that. And I said, now's the time. So I got those cards out and I started making phone calls. And Corey was the first one to respond out of all of them, and by phone. And he was very anxious to see the property, and we went out the next day. And I met him the next day. I didn't get any sense of pressure. It was, he wanted to see the place, he wanted to walk around it, go through it, told him what I knew about it. Again, one of these places, one of these apartments, I hadn't been in myself in probably 8 years, because this man lived in it and never called, never needed anything. If he did, he fixed it and would call me and tell me he fixed it, and he'd send me the parts bill and I'd pay him. 21 years he was in there. So that was the reason I wasn't gonna sell it out from under him.
Yeah, that's an amazing tenant.
Yeah, so I hadn't even been in one side, in the garage, I didn't have any idea what to expect, and he got it all cleaned out. Not all, but he got it cleaned out enough that it was acceptable. And Corey walked through there and he asked questions, and I told him what I expected. I knew that the house needed work. You know, if it hadn't needed the work, I would have just turned around and rented it and probably turned it over to a management company. But it needed work, and I didn't want to work with it anymore. I was done with it. I've had it so long. My wife and I are both retired, and we travel, and it's nice to have it gone. So I told him what I was looking for, and I knew that what the expenses would be to put it back on top shape, market level. And he called me a couple of days later and said they were still working on it. He's getting men in there to look at it, and finally he texted me and he said, we can make your numbers work. And I've dealt with rental properties and house flipping myself, so I know about it. And the first thing, one of the questions I asked him was, are you trying to tie this house up for 2 weeks till you can find a buyer? And he said, no, we're gonna buy it. And I asked that question to other people, and they were very evasive. They didn't want to talk about it. And that's what I felt was going on with the other people. So whenever I had 2 more offers on the house, and I thought, nah, I like the way Corey did business, and he answered the questions that I asked him. And so when it came down to it, I just said, let's take a chance. All it can cost me is 2 weeks. You know, if he does. If it doesn't do what he says he's going to do. And he's been in touch with me anytime there's keys needed to get in. I put a lockbox in the door. So he worked with me. I worked with him on that. And then the phone calls started with Laura Lynn and Laura, and then Lauren, and I'm having to write the names down and what we talked about, so I didn't get them confused. And right up till this morning when I left the house, I thought, this has been too easy. You know, so far this has been too easy. I'm expecting a hiccup. Where's it going to be? And right now, the only hiccup is if it's that check doesn't make it to the bank sometime today. But no, I have had a very pleasant experience, and I know a lady right now whose mother is in a house. They took her out of her house and put her in a nursing home, and they sent one of our friends in to clean the house, and the friend said it was so nasty she got sick and left, and she's not going to be there. And so I don't know what they're going to do with this place. It's over in a nice area. So I thought, first thing, if this transaction goes well, I'm going to call this lady and say, you know what you're going to go through straightening that house up. Why don't you give it to somebody else, and then I'll call Corey. So I would highly recommend, you know, if anybody tells me or asks me how to sell a property or how to buy one, from your website, it appears that you have some for sale too. So I thought, if this goes this nicely, it was very seamless, the whole transaction, I'll be glad to give you a recommendation, and if somebody wants to talk to me about it, I'll be glad to do that too.
That is the ultimate testimony.
Sure.
We really appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad I've had the ultimate experience with transactions. My wife and I have bought and sold 2 properties since last September, August, and with realtors, because they were realtor presented. You know, we had to go through the realtor.
Right.
And the craziness we went through and the paperwork and
Yeah.
the closings. It was, if I had this transaction to do on those two, I'd have gone through this a whole lot easier.
Right.
Yeah, oh, very nice. It was a great experience.
Well, thank you so much. I
You're
appreciate
more than
what you have to
welcome.
say, and I
You're more
appreciate
than
you
welcome.
taking the time to do this for
It's
us.
worth it.
It's really
It's worth it.
awesome.